Welcome back into the NFL Every Game on the Board podcast. Second half here as we're going 4-6-5, 4-6-6, Cleveland, Tennessee, down the end of the card, Monday Night Football, possibly Tuesday Night Football. It is the year 2020, so when these games are being played, you know, we're kind of guesstimating here, but we got our next guest up, Tony Mejia. Tony, welcome in. How you feeling?
I'm feeling all right, Drew. How about you?
Feeling good, man. Enjoying the Wednesday and cold Las Vegas. Kind of missing the Sunshine State, man. That's where you're at right now, right?
Bro, it was 37 this morning. So yes, while normally I get to bask in sunshine, these drastic swings in temperature really always get me. I've been feeling blah as it is, so it went from 75 over the weekend to 37. Not
yeah,
pretty.
That's but always.
Yeah. A little chilly.
And I'll tell you this, Tony, 37 in Florida is colder than 37 in Nevada because of the humidity. A lot of people don't factor that in, but from going from Florida to Nevada in the last 2 years of my life, have figured that one out. So we got 4-6-5, 4-6-6, Cleveland at Tennessee to start it off here, Tony. 54 being the total. Looks like Tennessee, the Titans, -6 at most shops right now in Nashville.
Yeah, and look, Tennessee's defense has been a far cry from what it was last season, when they were an active participant in that run to the AFC Championship. It just hasn't been the same this season. They gave up a ton of points, but this total is still a little too high for me. You have to make sure that you see what the Browns bring to the table in terms of the offensive line. Teller listed as questionable. J.C. Treader listed as questionable. I think that Conklin, former Titan, also questionable. So if those guys play, Browns have a chance to both win this game and drive that total over. If not, then I don't like Baker Mayfield's chances of being proficient with his play action, which is when they do the bulk of the damage. Sorry about that pause, but that was a big play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I got caught watching it.
As we're doing this right now on Wednesday, guys, if you're watching on replay, we got the Steelers game going live right now. A little Wednesday afternoon affair in the NFL. Pretty unique to 2020 this year. So we got New York Football Giants at Seattle Seahawks up next. Looks like the Seahawks -10 at home, 46.5 being the total, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Giants are in the race for the NFC least. We need to stop making fun of it. It's just a reality. They're going to be in it. And they've been a pretty solid offense when Daniel Jones has every receiver available to him. You know, Golden Tate coming up was big, Sterling Shepard coming back, and Darius Slayton has made strides. Now Slayton and Shepard are questionable, and Jones is dealing with a hamstring issue, didn't practice on Wednesday. So, again, it could be, if the Giants are trotting out a makeshift offense, an easy day for the Seahawks.
We got LA Rams, Arizona Cardinals up next. Some guys were asking about this one in the chat box in the last show. You're getting it right now. We got the Rams minus a field goal, road favorites here. Looks like 48.5 the total in the desert, Tony.
Yeah, and the Rams defense has been something that you could really invest in and feel confident that they'll give you their best effort. Injury issue for this week would be Jalen Ramsey dealing with a hip issue, but he's expected to play, and that'll make Kyler Murray's job all that harder because it'll be Ramsey against DeAndre Hopkins, and that'll be a fun watch.
Yeah, for sure. That will be a good matchup there, the corner versus wide receiver, and how that does affect him. That's kind of like a little bit of a tricky handicap there with the Rams on the road. We got Philadelphia at Green Bay. Looks like the Packers -8 in the hook in Lambeau, 47 the total here, Tony.
Yeah, and we talked about this off air. Packers are opened at 6.5, now laying 9. Maybe Doug Peterson will see his team's down 10 and go for 2 again late in the game. Get Eagles backers a little money for their woes because ridiculous what happened on Monday night with them going for 2. A Philadelphia team that, if it weren't for that big comeback that they made on a Thursday night against the Giants, would be the worst team in the NFC record-wise. Again, really very little confidence in them. Green Bay's defense has been virtually non-existent, but the way Wentz is throwing that football, really hard to get behind Philadelphia. Got to monitor weather, obviously, in Green Bay up until tip-off to really make a determination on that game.
Yeah, as we enter the month of December, guys, really you want to be checking weather wherever, but Tony's right, in Green Bay. a little bit more emphasis on that one as we got 4:25 Eastern, 1:25 Pacific kick here, 473, 474 New England at the LA Chargers, not to be confused with the San Diego Chargers. This is an interesting handicap here, Tony. -1 or pick 'em. That's the Patriots on the highway, 47 the total in Southern California.
Yeah, I mean, just another, another example of 2020 being 2020. You have Bill Belichick and the Patriots on the road against the last place Chargers team, and basically a pick 'em. These aren't your older brother's Patriots, clearly. And yet the Chargers should be able to do damage, but you can't really trust them as well because, it is a Belichick defense. They do have some key players on that defense that will win some individual battles. Big injury issues for the Chargers with Mike Williams questionable. He obviously stretches the defense out. Brian Bulaga also questionable, the big offensive tackle that helps protect Justin Herbert. And then defensively, Joey Bosa, he's carried a questionable tag the last few weeks. I think he did get in last week. So it's key to have him in that mix to try to chase around Cam Newton.
Yeah, for sure, Tony. It's kind of a tough matchup here with New England going across country. Plus, like Follower Fade is saying in the chat box, we got Belichick versus Lynn. You'd like to think coaching advantage to the Patriots, right, Tony?
Right. Yeah. No. There's so many just contrasting things that I like this, but I hate this. In touching that game might be one to stay away from. But you never know. Leading up to game time, angles always come clearer for me to where at least I'm comfortable making a move, not necessarily the right one, but at least you have some issues to some reasons to back stuff.
Yeah, sure. A lot of contrasting issues there, and at least a comfortable outlook if you wait a little bit more towards kickoff. And also the odds makers are telling us it's a difficult one with the spread here, -1 or pick 'em, depending where we're shopping. We got Denver at Kansas City up next, Tony, 51 being the total. Looks like the Chiefs minus a full 2 touchdowns in Arrowhead.
They're going to let the Broncos have a quarterback for this one, huh?
Are they? Is it for sure?
It's actually not, but I would think that they return to practice Wednesday and will get up to speed, and Drew Lock is expected to start. But yes, certainly a unique situation against the Saints where you're trying now. Kendall Hinton, who last was a quarterback at Wake Forest and really switched into a wide receiver while there. So limited experience. The Broncos didn't get past midfield in that game. Jerry Jeudy didn't even have a catch. So nobody could do anything. And Judy's actually limited in practice for this matchup. I don't see a way that the Broncos hang around with the Chiefs, being that they were already blown out earlier this season. Mahomes threw for barely 200 yards. Mecole Hardman was the leading receiver at 57 yards, and the Chiefs still found a way to blow him out with a pick six and a kickoff return for a touchdown. So certainly the Chiefs have the Broncos number. Denver has lost, I think, 10 straight since 2015 to Kansas City.
And he's Tony Mejia on Twitter at Mejia Dinero as in money in Spanish. He's 96-75 in college football. That's number 1 at WagerTalk. So really seeing it well in college football. He's got soccer plays as well, which he's on a hot streak right now. His last 30 plays, all-time 5% plays, just 6-3-1. So not a lot of them, but good ratio there. His free plays have been good as well. College football, really seeing it well. So Tony, what are you doing right in college football? As I see the UCF shirt on.
What am I doing right in college? Well, not much last week, but for the most part, winning the 50-50 games. And really, my strategy has been, and this is an awful strategy for the most part, because you want to always get at the right number. But in 2020, you have to know who's playing. So, and the fact is that because these are college athletes, coaches don't have to tell you anything. So you really have to be diligent about monitoring who's practiced. Beat writers throughout the country. If you go to who I follow on Twitter, if you're covering a team, college or pro, I'm following you. So just really hunt for information, understand what your angles want to be, and follow through only when these guys are going to play, and let's get it. Weather's a big deal for me too in college.
And that speaks to your background, right? You started off in the media in college football and college basketball, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, these coaches, they like to keep information away from you. It's your job to get it any way you can, either by talking to players or developing sources, and people do a great job with it. And it's essential to what we do. I mean, knowledge is power, my man.
So we got one game left here, guys. Monday nighter, Buffalo versus San Francisco. We got the Bills -2, 48 the total in this one, Tony.
Yeah, and so there's multiple Monday nighters. We want to talk about Buffalo, San Francisco.
We can talk about both of them if you want.
All right. Well, Buffalo, this is a game you got to give me if you're the Bills. You want to be perceived with the other powers in the AFC. Primetime game. I want to see you do well against a 49ers team that pulled off an upset this past weekend against the Rams, but for the most part isn't going anywhere this season, has been decimated by injuries. So this is on the Bills to show me who you are entering that game on the road. Not going to be easy, but a game you should be able to get if you're hitting December on the right note.
And Tony, I believe there's a game on Tuesday as well, but Washington, Pittsburgh looks like limited marketplace, but the Steelers -9, -8.5, 44 the total. Anything there?
I mean, at least we're seeing what's going on in Pittsburgh, Baltimore. So long as they can run out the clock, it looks like the Steelers have gotten out of this game healthy. We'll see what pops up afterwards, but they handled business, and then they would be playing a Washington team that did get the layoff that the Steelers were hoping for after playing on Thanksgiving. This is the Steelers-Ravens game was supposed to be on Thanksgiving night, came packed with a 9-day layoff, a mini bye, if you will. And Washington gets to enjoy that before going to Heinz Field, where Pittsburgh gets to turn around and concentrate on the Washington football team starting Thursday morning. So certainly from a spot standpoint, you got to like Washington. But Pittsburgh, if healthy, can handle business there. I did well with the under here in Pittsburgh, Baltimore. I think I'm leaning there in Pittsburgh, Washington, as we very early into the process of handicapping that.
And Tony, did you want to throw anything else out on the pod?
Well, I mean, the college basketball is a strength of mine, so I'm going to ramp up there, and that's a monster as far as COVID is concerned, with games being canceled left and right and teams struggling to get their seasons underway. Florida State hasn't even debuted. They'll do so tonight against North Florida. There are other teams that have played 4 games like Xavier and come in 4-0. So just really strange, but it will be a strength going forward. And obviously my NBA is coming back on December 22nd. Saw a Christmas schedule. Really thrilled that we'll get NBA by the end of this month. So excited and ecstatic that's coming back.
And I've talked to Ski Profit about this, Tony. With the NBA with such a short turnaround here, what are you looking for out the gate, man? I mean, are some of these teams going to fully be in it, or are they kind of like, man, we're already back? Or no, you think they're full blown?
I can't imagine LeBron James brings the same type of intensity as he did in the bubble very early on. And he'll have new teammates to play with. Marc Gasol and Wes Matthews probably join that starting lineup. They've added Dennis Schroeder to be a spark plug off the bench. So you try to kind of let them shine. I think early on you'll see teams excited to play with one another and have the season back. But, man, once mid-January hits and it's an old hat, that's going to lend itself to some upsets and stuff. So we'll look to prey on all that. Steelers and Ravens, go final. I'm excited.
And you cashed that one, huh?
We cashed on the under and cashed on Baltimore under 14.5 on the team total. So just barely squeaked by. Thank you, John Harbaugh, for not going for 2 like Doug Peterson.
Guys, check him out. WagerTalk.com. He's Tony Mejia. He's his free plays on a 19-8 run, college football. 71-49 last 7 Saturdays here, and 96-75. He's number 1 in college football at WagerTalk.com. So check him out. We got the Cyber Week special, guys. 6 months, all access for less than $100 a month. You like high volume, you like college football winning, Tony Mejia might be your guy. So Tony, thanks for being with us while you sweated out your bets there on that Wednesday afternoon NFL, man.
Yeah, man. Good to have you. Good to be on, Drew, and always a pleasure. And yeah, I don't think we'll be able to do Wednesday night football much, so it'll be memorable that I sweated out on the Every Game on the Board podcast, because this is the second Wednesday night game since 1948, so probably won't get many more of these.
Yeah, won't count on it for sure. But he's Tony Mejia. Follow him on Twitter at Mejia Dinero. Tony, thanks. Guys out there, thanks for tuning in. Please smash the like button on your way out. If you're watching on replay, feel free to drop a comment below. Guys, best of luck with your bets. We'll be back at 4 p.m. Pacific with Jeff from Ostheim Sports to finish off the college football Every Game on the Board podcast. Best of luck with your bets until then.